Truth is, honest truth, and this is a terrible burden that's placed on some people's shoulders. You cannot make a relationship good all by yourself. Or you can make a relationship better all by yourself by not retaliating and all that. But you can't make a relationship good all by yourself. You can make a relationship bad all by yourself. You can ruin a relationship all by yourself. But you cannot make a relationship good all by yourself. And sometimes we have unfairly placed a burden for a Christian woman to somehow fix her husband, fix the relationship, be happy in a horrible marriage. And when she says, I can't do that, I think she's telling the truth, but I don't mean it in this candid way. I won't do that. You could probably, if you felt it was the right thing to do, just like you could take care of a sick child if you had to the rest of your life, if that's what God called you to do. But I won't. I don't think that's what God's asking me to do, is to enable someone to stay deceptive or abusive or disrespectful just to keep the illusion or the look, the image of a marriage together. Because you don't really have a marriage when someone's not honest with you, when someone watches pornography and blames you for it. You don't really have a marriage, right? Because a marriage is much more than just a legal agreement. It's a relationship, living, breathing relationship. And it requires two people to be in that relationship and to work on that relationship. And when one person trashes that relationship, they have to begin to take responsibility for that, own that, and want to repair that relationship. And when he's saying, well, I trashed this relationship by watching porn, but it was really your fault, then it puts you in a no-win situation because you can't fix his pornography use. I remember being at a conference once, and a man was speaking, a colleague of mine, a friend of mine, and he was saying there's a lie that says, well, if only a man had enough sex, he would never be tempted, right? I mean, that's a lie that's put on Christian women. Like, well, just make sure your husband's happy, make sure you're doing everything he wants you to do, and then he'll never be tempted to go elsewhere. He'll never be tempted to stray, right? And so this man was very honest at the conference. He says, well, my wife had sex with me this morning, and I was looking at a pretty girl in the grocery store and having bad thoughts. Of course, I stopped it. But just because you're sexually satisfied doesn't mean you're not still a man and you're not still going to be tempted. And so don't put that burden on you that if only I was Victoria's Secret, that he wouldn't have those temptations. His temptations are his temptations, and he has to take responsibility for how he handles those temptations. Just like your temptations are your temptations, and they might not be even your temptation to live afraid and small isn't your husband's fault. So you decide, just like he has to decide, do I want to be a man who watches pornography? Is that the kind of person I want to be? You have to decide, do I want to be a wife who lives small and afraid to live in the truth? God calls you to live in the truth. And so when a husband or even a church or a counselor calls you to live in lies and pretend land, so your husband wants to bury his head under the sand and say, everything is good. As long as we don't talk about it, it's fine. Well, the truth is, if you have cancer, if you don't talk about it, it doesn't go away. In fact, it may kill you if you don't talk about it with your doctor, if you don't do something about it, right? In the same way, when there's certain things that are very toxic to a relationship, if they don't get talked about and healed and resolved, the marriage dies. It dies. And no amount of resuscitation brings the marriage back if the other person isn't willing to do their part. And even sometimes when the other person is willing to do their part, the marriage is dead. Can't bring a dead person back to life, right? And so it's really important that we not get sucked into a mindset that says somehow it's my responsibility to fix everything, okay?